All right, welcome to Packin a Can with Dean Stanfield. This is Dave Jays, my guest today, comedian in Austin.
That's me.
Yeah, we met at open mic. We met at Tramps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. I mean, I'd seen you there 4 or 5 times, and then I can't remember. I was talking to like Craig or somebody, and then it was when Craig wasn't drinking for a while.
I didn't know that was a time period.
Yeah, it was a time period of his life. It was weird, and I like Craig when he drinks. I don't like Craig when he doesn't drink. No, I'm just kidding, buddy. I love Craig. Just a piece of shit. But Craig was like the person I talked to, and he was just like writing on notes. And I was like, all right, walk over. Yeah. And then you always sit by like in the corner by the exit.
Yeah. Right?
It's kind of like your spot. And then I was like, man, I've seen you at a couple open mics. We talked for a little bit, but yeah. And then you work for or you do shows with the Mugridges, Turn 2.
Yeah. They've been good to me.
Yeah, very good. And I don't think we've done a show together, but I don't think so. But I've done 5 or 6 shows with them, and they're good. Yeah, it's one of the only bookers outside of
the clubs. Yeah,
outside of the clubs. Yeah, unless you're gonna do Cap City. I mean,
yeah, and they're getting back on their feet now too after all the COVID stuff.
Yeah, you just had a show.
Yeah, well, I went to Laredo with Shannon.
Okay. Was that Turn 2s or was that?
No, it wasn't Turn 2. It was Aaron Suarez's.
Oh, okay.
I
said Aaron
show down there.
Okay.
At Rooftop. I think it's called Rooftop.
It is. Yep. Rooftop.
And I went with Shannon, but no, they're getting off the ground here in town. They're doing an open mic starting on Wednesdays. I think they're the first ones
in Austin
to come back like with an actual open mic.
Thank God. We've been driving to Killeen you've done it a couple times. Yeah. Every week for I think it's been 4 weeks now. Yeah. There's 2 open mics. There's Game Day, and then there's Cup of Joe's.
Yeah.
Cup of Joe's Coffee. Which we did a set there. I think it was like I didn't even expect. I was just walking up there. I was just like I was in kind of a bad mood.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna go up there and talk. End up talking and coming up with a new I'd already had it kind of like pre-planned in my head. I already wrote it down at least, but I hadn't expected to say it. And then the set went great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got up there and killed it. And then after that, it was like,
yeah. That was my first one back.
That was your first
Game
one?
Day is my first one back, and it felt good. I went up like 3rd.
Yeah,
and it felt good.
I think that. So you killed for that room. You didn't like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like people were falling out of their chair, but I don't think there was a single person in there that didn't at least giggle.
That's the thing that I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be like it's gonna be a good night, and then like the rest of it was like crickets, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit good.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So it must have been something.
Yeah, there was great parts of that set, man. I think there's so many. A lot of people that night did it's not virtue signaling, but they're like, there's something about comedy. Like we're in the middle of a quarantine right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to talk about things that are going on in your life, or like all the riots that are happening, you want to talk about that kind of stuff, but it's like, okay, if we got to hear it from every single comedian, can nobody has a finger up their butt joke that I can kind of clear out?
That stuff's tough. I try to come up with some stuff that would like just transfer me into my existing material, that would kind of relate it back to what's going on, but I'm just glad that we missed the train on what do you call on Tiger King?
Oh, Jesus.
Because there's like all this shit happened. How much
did you write?
I didn't write anything.
You didn't write anything?
Not on Tiger King.
There wasn't you didn't think of a set. I got plenty. I've got a mullet, and I was like, during the whole thing, I was like, I'm just going to write this full page.
Yeah. And you're just watching it, you're like, I don't get it. This is normal. I don't know. Why is this documentary?
Mom, they had cameras out here last week? No. I took the page off, and I was like, nope. I just had to write it for me, and then fucking toss that bitch out.
I didn't during quarantine. I didn't write a lot.
You didn't?
No, I added a lot of stuff to existing bits, but like I was just sad the whole time.
Yeah, I know. Man.
I was just like, and then I would also get sad because I'm like, if I think of something, I'm like, who cares? I can't do anything with it. So
yeah, but you didn't like. I don't know. I started to do that, and then I just got like so sunk into my sadness and depression.
Yeah,
that I was like, what pulls me out? What pulls me out? And I was like, at least I can do is, fucking stand in front of my mirror and try to do something. That. I think there was like twice that I did it. I was like, grab the brush. I was like, because I got long hair, Yeah. And so I was sitting there brushing my hair, and I caught myself. I was like, welcome, folks. And I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I want to so bad, but I can't do it.
Yeah. No, I did a couple of sets in the car, the few times I got to be by myself in the car. and just
Your
trying to
kids
remember
hosted an open mic. That was
yeah,
cute.
my kids are, you know, they're just at home, just forced to listen to me tell shitty jokes.
do your jokes on kids?
So,
clean humor.
I try to be. They don't think I'm. They don't think the stuff that I write is funny.
Yeah.
You see, like I showed my daughter that picture from Laredo, and a picture of me. I was actually wearing this shirt, and I'm like pointing like this in the picture, and I'm holding the mic and pointing like this, and she goes, "It looks like you're trying to distract them so you could set off a bomb." I was like,
"You're beautiful little white girl."
I'm like, "Why is it?" I don't know if she's like figuratively, or if she's just racist and doesn't know. But it was like
that joke, man. I was it caught me like mid drink when you started that joke.
Yeah,
and I could not get it down for like 30 seconds because I just kept going trying to swallow it real quick and then just laughing.
With the kids are white joke.
Yeah, your daughter was like, she's just like. He was holding your hand and looking up at you. And oh god, dude, it was such that I don't know. Did you wrote all of that? Or was that just all riffing?
No, yeah. I wrote it all almost everything that I do has spent a lot of time written out before.
So you write pretty consistently. So what's your writing process like? That's one of the
so mostly I've been trying to do free writing, but I never really you're supposed to do it every day, but I don't really ever do it consistently. But mostly I'll just write down all the thoughts that I have throughout the day or whenever, like in a scrap, part of Evernote, and then go in, and once I have a bunch of stuff that's around one thing, I'll pull that out and go like, oh, it'll occur to me like this is kind of these things go together, and then put it into its own separate note, and then try to find all the punchlines and like what is a story that puts them together, and go from there. And then usually I'll do that and then hate it. And then, very few things.
Throw it away.
Yeah. Very few things actually like make it. So yeah, I'm super like
the pages that I don't know. I'm sure. I think this is with everybody. It's gotta be. I've got like 3 journals full of like bullshit. And then I have probably, I don't know, 8 gigs of fucking space on my phone full of just dumb, stupid jokes. And
that's what I've used Evernote, and today I had to create a new like scrap notebook. Yeah, because it's so slow. Like the first one is just dumb shit that is still that I just keep dumping on there. Like,
do you ever go back to that dumb shit, like just the little premises that you thought of when you first started, and that now that you know how to write a joke, like where the punches should be, where what tags are, how to bring back callback stuff like that, like, and how to like free form when you should pause better now. Do you ever go back and find those old dumb jokes and then try to, like, hey man, maybe I should?
There have been a couple, but I don't think I've retried them though because because of quarantine. But I think during quarantines when I went back and I was like, oh, this stuff I hated doing this, but this joke or whatever. So, but I would find some new way to be excited about it. Yeah. So sometimes, or a lot of times, I'll realize that this old joke just needed a different punchline, or it actually fits better in some other bit,
or it might not be the build for that punchline, but it'll work better in this joke. Yeah, it'll be a better build for this punchline. That's one thing I realized when I went back, because I just got tired of writing stuff, and not being able to say it. Yeah, so I'm so excited about this joke, and then I lose interest in it because I'm like, it's been 6 weeks, like I can't do anything with it, So I'm like, I lost whatever drive I had that made that joke funny for me, right? Because it wasn't perfect, and I had to work it out. But now I've just already lost like why I think that premise is funny.
Yeah, sometimes you can like old stuff will seem funny to me again if I come up with like a new thought and realize that it's connected to that. So like I've been doing this joke about how my mom is racist against other brown people. And so like I thought it was like the whole premise is my mom is racist, but I realized the real premise is my mom's whole side of the family is racist. Okay, yeah. So like this stuff about my grandfather, stuff about my like uncles and all that stuff. So this is something that just occurred to me today. I'm like, oh, like I like this joke now because it was just in the wrong premise.
Yeah, it wasn't just your mom. It brings in a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I get more excited about it. Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, that's another thing. Doing. But you are. I mean, I've got one of the funniest conversations I've had in the quarantine is my mom is like, my grandma grew up and great grandma grew up in a whole different time. Like they're for sure racist, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's like there's one part that I'm like everybody gets mad. They'll get madder when she says something about CNN or whatever. She's like, you got to listen to Fox News. These people are out there. And she just, whatever she says is inherently racist. And so it is. And so
no matter what she says,
what she says, I mean, it is. It's fine. But she's an old senile lady. My mom gets super mad at her, and she's like, I just can't go over there anymore. I can't go over there anymore.
Yeah,
like, Mom, like, she's old. Just let her. It's gonna be. It's just out there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like you can tell her something, but she's old and senile. She's not gonna listen.
I mean, you gonna stop loving your grandmother because she's racist?
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? You can't. She's an old grandma, you know.
I mean,
you can tell her, Grandma, now that's not right. That's not right, Grandma. Yeah. And then she's gonna go, well, you know, kids your days, and I'm like, whatever, Grandma, you're old and senile.
No, I mean, you got to think about that. One day, what if just being old just makes you racist, and then like you're with your wife, and one day she says some racist shit, and you're like 70, and you're like, what am I gonna do?
Oh, what am I married to a racist?
I mean, if you're at that point, you're kind of racist too.
Yeah, for sure.
If your wife says some racist shit,
and you don't,
and you're like
her a little bit, if you don't smack her,
you should
smack her around a little bit.
Nah, who cares?
Who cares?
We're just, we're in the house.
Yeah, nobody's gonna hear it, you know.
They're out there on the lawn. who gives a shit?
This is the horrible part. Is I'll get in trouble for that. You won't.
Stop, Dean.
Stop, no, Dean, stop it. Dude, I straight up. We was doing a podcast. We were pumping these things out, and then this whole riot thing happened.
Yeah.
And then I had 5 guests. They were like, "Look, man, like, I just can't do this during this time."
Oh, really?
And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I totally understand," or whatever. And then one was like, "Yeah, man, I just, it's just." Our country as it tears, and I just can't see doing a podcast. And I was like, I mean, that's totally understandable, dude. I feel
like that's one response. I've heard like that sentiment that like nothing's funny right now.
Yeah,
but
dude, when Dave Chappelle put out that really,
yeah,
I was clicking on it. Thinking everybody was like, hey, have you seen the new Dave Chappelle special?
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, thank God, I needed it right now. Like I'm in such a spiraling depression.
Yeah.
And I need somebody to make me like, oh, like laugh again. I need Dave Chappelle in my life. Click. And then it was like,
and I'm just crying.
And it was, I know, I was like, oh, it's so heartfelt.
Yeah.
But I've never seen Dave Chappelle. I've always seen him talk about issues like that and then switch it.
Yeah.
But it was when he finally said like, hey, there's nothing funny about this.
Yeah.
Like I can't, you know, and then just
what I really liked about that is
it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful speech.
I think that's what it is that like I feel like he's so transcend, not to be like a cliche comic, just blowing Dave Chappelle, but he's so transcended like comedy or like traditional stand up to the point where like he can make you laugh, but he can also make you feel whatever he wants to make you feel.
He's an entertainer. He's one of the best entertainers.
Yeah, I saw online someone was like that was more of a sermon than anything else, and I'm like, it really was. You know, and it makes you realize that he is just such a gifted speaker, and communicator. So it's not just I can make you laugh. He's like I can make you feel whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
whatever the time calls for.
Yeah,
and that time we didn't. I mean, I don't know. The world probably could have used some laughter for sure, but
I think I don't like that. Like nothing's funny right now. I feel like now more than ever, you have to laugh.
You gotta laugh. Like I'm sorry, that's how I cope. This is one of the reasons I became a comedian. Is I saw my dad laughing at a special, Rodney Carrington special, and it was a guy that I did not see laugh very often.
Yeah,
and I did my aunt, my uncle, and my stepmom, and I just people that I didn't see a whole lot of happiness from every once in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
And then I was like, how do I make that happen? You know?
Yeah.
Like I just saw my dad cry because he was laughing so hard. That's what I want to do. I want to bring the people that
I want to make my dad cry.
I want to make my dad cry. Can I not? Do I have to die? Do I have to die to make that happen? No. Probably still not even then. No. So we got a full day ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
Dave J. We got this. We got this podcast. We got my first show since the quarantine.
Yeah.
And your second.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing a show from. They said 10 to 20 people. It's a family reunion / birthday party.
Quinceañera?
Quinceañera. They're just throwing everything in together. Everybody, everything that they missed during the quarantine, they're just throwing it all in here.
That's good.
And Dana and Fernie.
Okay.
Are the two ladies. You asked me for like stuff. So I had asked him, I was like, hey man, what is this for? You know, kind of like a little bit. But he was like, it's kind of like a family reunion / birthday party, you know, this cool thing. We're just all getting together. And I was like, cool. Anything you can tell me about the people? And he was like, yeah, Fernie, she's a wonderful person. She loves going to church and she loves Instagram. She's kind of like an Instagram model and she loves puppies. And I was like, something? Did she get drunk 6 years ago and take her top off at Tio Ortiz's party or something? Right. Like nothing. You're gonna give me all good things. Okay. I'll try to work with that. I don't like. I was asking to roast, you know. And then he was like, oh yeah, Dana, she's got a. I guess she loves the church and she loves her husband. She's my favorite cousin.
So it is her birthday.
It was her birthday today.
But it is her birthday.
Yeah, and then Dana's birthday was like Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent you the information that I have. They're cousins.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I guess one of them, they're cousins by marriage. Okay. So Dana is actually in the family, and then I'm sorry if they're watching this.
That's how they feel.
Fernie is
She's not
also in the
family.
She's also in the family. Fernie is married to Isaac.
Okay.
Who is one of the
cousins. You know them?
I
kind
don't.
of, or it was just completely strangers?
Off of
That's good.
Yeah, dude. It was booked it off
That's
of
good. In and out.
Big Salad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually booked us a show. This one might be coming up in a couple months, but there was somebody at the I can't remember his name. I have it in there. He saw us specifically. He just came in to grab a cup of coffee. Saw our sets at Cup of Joe Coffee.
Oh, really?
And then left. And then found me on Facebook and was like, hey, I don't know if he probably just went in there to grab some coffee and saw it was the only, I mean, I'm not saying we were the only two that made people laugh that time, but for whatever reason, we caught the energy right and just in the beginning went well. And he Facebook messaged me and was like, hey man, do y'all just do that at places? And I was like, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, we usually do it at specific places. And,
yeah.
And he was like, well, he's like, well, we have an event this Saturday. He was like, we're all getting together. I didn't think about it, but how much for the deal? And I was like, I gave him my price and I was like, I can bring 2 or 3 people. He was like, yeah, you and that guy, if y'all can come out. And so I booked it, put Spencer. So this one that we're doing today is Spencer's hosting.
Yeah.
Then Hudak is going second for 10.
Yeah.
And then I'm going third for 10.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be doing 15 to 20.
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be a blast. Like that's a decent ass lineup.
Yeah.
For post quarantine, dude.
I'm excited.
I mean, it's gonna be weird. We're doing it out of a mic like that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if there was gonna be a mic or if we're gonna.
I don't even know if we're gonna use it. Like. I don't either. I asked him to send pictures, but it's at an Airbnb. So he said there's a patio into a backyard.
We could fuck this place up,
dude. Let's do it, bro. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. We're gonna go into that living room. We're gonna have Hudak get his Speedo on and do his old wrestling moves on like me and Spencer.
Oh, I can't wait.
And then you can come in. We'll get you like some wings or something. I don't know why I envisioned like your wrestling guy has wings.
I would love to be a wrestler.
Wouldn't it be fun?
I think it would be cool. I think it would just
mask like a luchador. I would have to be the one that has a luchador mask.
I just think it would be, but not the part where you got to get slammed and shit like that. I don't like that part. But just like talking shit to people.
Oh, that'd be great. And there's no consequences. Wouldn't that be awesome? That's kind of like what we do now.
Kind of, yeah. just talk shit.
Dude, it's so weird. Did you come to that roast on Friday at game day?
No, I didn't get. Were you there?
Oh yeah, I was there. They called me last minute and they were like, "Hey man, we don't have a lot of people. Do you mind? Could you come through and do a roast?" I was like, "Yeah, who's on it?" And they were like, "Oh well, Spencer and Miles for sure." And then I'll get back with you. And then I got there and he got back with me. And I was like, "Look, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I drove all this way. I'm gonna make fun of Spencer and Miguel. Miguel was the guy that was. Yeah. I'll make fun of Spencer. I'll make fun of Miguel. I'll say something about Ty Nguyen having a skullet.
Yeah.
And then I have a mullet, and then I'm doing my set. So then I'm gonna do my 10.
Yeah.
Because what are we doing here, man? It was super unorganized. I love Lacey to death, but like,
was there a lot of people there?
Yeah.
Really?
And it was weird.
Was it all comics?
No, there was like 2-3 big groups of people. There was a group of people there for him, and then there was like the group by the pool table, and then there was like the biker group.
Those biker groups, they're a little gnarly.
Every time I keep telling who's gonna mention them. I made a 3%er joke. I made a 3%er joke. No, like when I walked through, and I was like, I'm so glad they didn't hear it. I'm so glad they didn't hear it. I was like, whatever. I'm ready to.
Bikers are really out here. We were in.
Killeen, they are. That's like a big thing. You know what 3%er means?
I have a vague idea.
It's just the 3% of the biker gangs are like deadly.
Oh.
So like if they have a thing that says 3% on them, you don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
So like my joke was, I was like, man, I saw these biker guys in this bar and I walked in. I was like, oh shit. And I kind of like caught a glance and I was like, oh, they don't have 3%ers. They're a bunch of bitches. I said it. And then like 4 or 5 comics were like, oh, and looked back at the bikers. They don't give a fuck about us.
There's a milk joke in there somewhere.
There's a milkshake in there?
There's a milk joke in there somewhere. 3%ers, whole milk. Something like that.
It's gotta be. Do it for sure.
There's something in there. Oh, well,
I'll catch them as they're running past at you on the stage, and I'll like hook somebody's foot.
I was nervous. I was like thinking like these guys are probably gonna, heckle or whatever. So I was trying to think of some jokes that I could.
I just went meth and daddy issues. That's the only one. Like I had a biker yell at a show one time. I was just being. He just had a leather jacket. I don't even know if he was a biker, but he had like a leather jacket on, like tattoos. You can see it on his neck. And he was like interrupting. And I was like, whoa, hey guy, let me guess, meth or daddy issues?
Yeah.
And he like went to say something, and I was like, I stopped. I was like, oh wait, that's a weird mix of the two. I got it.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing over there. And he kind of like laughed, and his girlfriend laughed, and then thankfully he shut the fuck up, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to just engage them, give them the attention they want, and then move on to your set,
Yeah.
At least, unless you're Andre Ricks, and then you just like, fuck, are those guys that Spencer Cavins that just love working crowd work. He's like, I just want to go up there. He said, I'd rather somebody talk because I don't want to do my set. He was like, I'd rather like, what are you talking about? He never writes anything down. He's just all memorization. I'm like, okay, it works for a lot of people. Bill Burr works it like that.
Yeah. He
doesn't write down a whole lot of stuff. It's a lot of memorization. But I'm like, dude, I have to physically have that shit on there.
Yeah, no, I feel like I need, like, even if I change a joke on stage, I'll go back and add it to that bit just so I remember it. Mostly I have it all. I have it memorized. I try not to over memorize it, but like,
because that's a big problem too.
If I add something, I'll make sure that it's in there. So when I go look at it, I can go, oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I added to this.
I just rewrite the joke again with the new part. Yeah. And then I try it out again. And then I kind of just vibe off of which one I think is the best.
Yeah.
Because I've done it where I've gone back and been like, oh, that joke worked really better like this. And I deleted it.
Yeah.
And then I went back and revised the joke how I thought the ending should be, or the middle, or whatever the tags.
Yeah.
And then I went and did the joke. And it turns out the people were just drunk that night. And they just laughed really hard at dick tacos. And so I was like, oh man, what was the old part? And I'm like, no, I can't even remember the old joke. Eventually you do, but like I don't remember exactly how it was in its baby stages. So I was like, fuck. So I started rewriting it again. And it helps me, like typing out or writing out fully really helps me memorize stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I'm like a visual person. So
yeah, I do the same thing. But like, and also I so bad want to be the kind of comic is like, I've got all these notebooks, but like I just type really fast. And so I can like type I can type really close to like how fast I can think it. And so I prefer to just type.
Yeah, that's way
if
more
writing,
efficient.
I'm like, fucking break my wrist or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I
don't have a laptop. I've never owned. 26 years old.
Yeah,
I've never owned a laptop.
The only reason I have one is because of my job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just have my phone.
Like I can pay my bills on my phone. I can do everything I need to. I've got Word document. It's just like, for some reason, I've made it this long without a laptop. So I'm like, I don't know. But then I started doing these podcasts and stuff like that, and I'm like, a MacBook Pro would be extremely handy in my life right now. Trying to edit videos, like old stuff that I have comedy wise, trying to put it up on YouTube. Like,
what'd you do with your Trump money? With your $1,200?
Yeah, I didn't get that, bro.
You didn't get that?
No, I made way too much money last year.
Oh, word?
I think if you made over 85, I think you didn't get one.
Oh, it must be all married, so.
Oh yeah, dude.
We got our
all
limit.
Kinds of benefits.
We got 5 kids, and we got the full $1,200 per person.
You got $1,200 per person?
Yeah, because my wife stays at home with the kids, so we only have my income. So we may I came out of quarantine better financially than I went into quarantine.
That is insane.
Yeah,
there's so many people that's happening to right now. I know plenty of comics that are like, look, bro, I might not go back till January.
Yeah,
like I'm making $25 an hour right now. Like I'm making way more money right now than I am if I would just go back to work.
Right.
Which that's like, that's crappy. Like that's not a good way. Somebody's gonna have to pay for that. There's the whole deal. And if you can go back to work, go back to work. Like it sucks. I understand you're making more money. It's a hard decision to make. But like at some point, man, you got to be like, oh, it's whatever. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like if you gotta, for me, if you just find something that you're doing, Right? Yeah. If you're just like, I'm making money, I'm just sitting around. But if you're doing something with it, like I know some people who are on furlough and they're just like, yeah, I'm on furlough and I'm just not making any money right now. I'm like, you have your benefits. Go get a fucking job at Costco. Yeah. They're hiring. Go stock overnight. Keep your health insurance.
If you don't need it, don't hustle. I mean, if you're not suffering, people aren't going to be hustling.
Right.
It's taken a lot out of us, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Like the proof that like if shit goes wrong, you're not going to starve. So like,
this is, it's been, I really think it's like it just won't stop. It's just fucking forever. Like most national tragedies have an end date, and this one is just forever. So like,
things finally started opening back up, and then the day that it did, everybody was like, "But the round 2's coming in October. It's all going to come back. We're all going to do this all again."
For people who love to give you bad news.
Yes.
This is like,
I got a buddy that calls me up. He's like, "Oh yeah, it seems like you're doing some comedy shows. It looks like you're kind of resurfacing out of that depression there, buddy."
Yeah.
Just to let you know, murder hornets are a thing. Have you heard about Yellowstone? That's going to blow up in a month. Also, I don't know if you knew this, but don't go out on the streets because people are murdering people out there. Some people took over. What was it? There's a town. Seattle.
Yeah.
They took over like 8 city blocks, and they just handed them the city capital.
Are there any black people in Seattle?
I don't think so.
It
was all white people.
The Seahawks.
Okay, on the Seahawks, yeah. Marshawn Lynch, he's there. I know he's there. I've seen him. But looking at the video, I'm like, and I haven't heard it on the news or anything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in there?
It's been pretty.
They're going to go down there. They're going to murder all of those people, and they're going to dump them in a ditch. Well, here's the thing.
That's why I say there are any black people there. I think it's all white people who like took over that part of Seattle or whatever. And the cops are like, they left their precinct. They left the building. They're like, all right, we'll be back. I don't know. I just heard parts of this.
Dude,
I don't know the whole story.
I don't either. Nobody does because they're not talking about it.
Also, I'm sure that it's just white people. Otherwise, you wouldn't even heard about it. It would have just been like a massacre you learned about in like 30 years.
For sure. I'm okay. That's a very well thing. It could very well happen though.
Yeah.
Like it could be a thing that's just like, hey, do you remember the quarantine? Wasn't there like, there used to be a lot of people in Seattle. Now there's like not a whole lot of people. What's going on with that? And they're like, oh, it's a corona. I think got them.
Tough up there.
They were coughing.
So we
funny. Shot them.
I was saying I was telling my wife, like, when our kids are like in school, learn about coronavirus, and then learn about like the Black Lives Matter movement, like they're gonna have that moment where they're like, did you realize those two things were at the same time? You know what I mean?
Like, you see the bookshelf where it's like it starts at like 1993, and then the books go from every year, and then it's 2020, and it goes volume 1, volume 2, volume 10, volume 15. When is it gonna fucking stop?
I wonder if people like in the 60s
we just passed over murder hornets. We passed over the UFOs. The government just came out and was like, hey, man, UFOs are a thing. Like, I don't have any toilet paper right now.
Yeah.
So are you going to give me an alien stimulus check? Then no, I don't give a fuck. What is it? Are they here? No, they're not here. They're still in space. Well, we're worried about them.
It turns out we didn't really care about UFOs after all.
No.
Because they were like, you want them? And they're like, not that bad. Not really.
Is this what happens when I find out about UFOs? Fuck that. And then there was supposed to be an asteroid that's going to come.
You know what?
I don't even give a fuck anymore.
God bless the asteroid.
Take us out.
Let me know when you're gonna get here.
Just let me. It would be fucking fantastic.
Do you think people who were living through this, like the late 60s, were like, this is crazy? You know what I mean? Because you learn about that time period, and I never feel like it must have felt like everything was coming apart.
It was like over a 10-year stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so there's problems a long prior before that. But then when the 60s hit, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened. But like there was a lot of crazy shit that happened in that 10 years.
Yeah.
Not in 6 months.
Yeah.
Like it was a very crazy thing, but I think it was like it was ramping up with the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And like it was prior to the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
And things were ramping up. Like maybe even I would say between the 60s and 80s there was an intense. People were dying.
So
they were just shooting people in the streets.
Has there ever been a period of time where it didn't feel like everything was about to fall apart? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just feels like every couple of years you're like, oh, it's never been this bad. And I'm like, I think we always say that.
Yeah, I think we always say
innately
humans want something to bitch about.
Yeah.
They want that there needs to be problems, needs to be strife. We can't be happy. I blame it on Catholicism, but I think everybody, it's just a human nature that we want to suffer. We want to have something that we're looking forward to. Because honestly, if you stop and everything's perfect, what do we do?
What's the point?
What's the point? I want to suffer. I want there to be hardship. I want there to be a purpose so that at the end of my life, I can sit on a beach, drinking Mai Tai with a smoking hot redhead or my wife, whichever one happens.
Right.
And
whoever made the flight, you know,
right. and just enjoy and then die of a heart attack sometime. You know, like I want to have that time but I've got to suffer to get there. Yeah. Like I want to be a stand-up comedian. My biggest dream in my life is to be, you know, working as a comedian, paying my bills off of comedy. Yeah. But I know in order to get there, there's going to have to, and I'm enjoying the shit. Yeah. You know, I'm enjoying going to Tramps at fucking 2:00 in the morning, listen to Leah Maroney talk through her nose until she finally calls my name. Like it's super fun to me. You know, I think it's great. It's a suffering. It's gonna be great. I'm just kidding. Leah. I don't think you talk through your nose.
I like Leah very much. So whatever Dean says is on him.
Do you like Leah?
I like Leah a lot. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We did a few shows together right before all this started, and she was super sweet to me and like offered to have me on her show, and then everything like went to shit. So, wow. You know, hopefully we get back to it soon.
I don't like talking shit on this podcast. I don't have a problem with her.
No, but there's my favorite thing about Tramps is that seat right in the back when they get the AC going and you just get the drip.
Is that why you sit there?
Drip.
Oh, you get the water that dirty water drip. I did it when it dripped. I don't know if it was on that side. It was from somewhere. That whole place drips.
The whole place drips.
And it dripped into my glass, and I had nothing left in the glass. And like I looked down, and it was like murky. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's filtering through the asbestos that they have in that ceiling. But right. Place is such. I talked shit about it the other day when Craig was on, and he was like, "Don't you fucking talk shit about Tramps." He was like, "That place is amazing," and I was like, "All right."
You know, the first time I went there, it was the second time I ever went to an open mic.
Really? Okay, well that's a question. What was your first open mic?
It was at Love Goat.
Love Goat was your first one.
So Love Goat on Saturday, and then I did Tramps on
that's a pretty Sunday. Rough Love Goat's pretty rough.
And then I did Cold Town on Monday.
Wow. What made you like just hop on in that?
I have been thinking about it for so long, like at least 10 years. Wow. And then I went to college and had kids and got married and did all this stuff. And then I felt like I should probably do this.
Yeah.
Now, soon, you know, I hate just kind of talking about it and not really like being about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I went to Love Goat and it was okay. Yeah. And then I went to Tramps and it was terrible.
So, so it's super interesting when I do this. The majority of the comedians that I talk to on this podcast, because this is what I do, is just interview comedians on here. Almost every single person says that they did good at their first one. Yeah. And then it gives them like a drive. I think Spencer Cavins was the only one that didn't do good on his first one.
I think because the first one, I think maybe a lot of people, it goes better than they thought it would go. And they're like, oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. And then you do your second one and everybody said, I tanked so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. At Tramps that night, at the second one, some lady in the front row heckled me, but she was like hitting on me.
The hitter hecklers.
And I was like, I don't know what to do with that. On or off stage, I've been married for so long that I'm like, I don't even look at women as anything.
As what?
I don't look at them as anything. I don't look at anything. Yeah.
As anything, Dave J? Could they not be just human beings?
I look at them as people.
Not look at them like human beings?
They're people.
All right, he's got.
I look at women just like I look at guys.
They're trash bags. Yeah.
I look at women. No,
I'm so sorry. I'll quit checking.
I look at. Yeah. I look at like I have no.
Yeah.
I've just been married for so long that I'm just like, what are you doing? I don't understand it. You know. And I ate shit, and and then we got into a fist fight with her afterwards. No, I'm just.
Don't you love those Tramps fist fights? If somebody can heckle you, and then it fucks your setup, then you have to fist fight them in the streets.
That's true. That's the Austin law.
Or you can opt to have a hobo do it, but it costs an extra $5 to rent a hobo, and nobody ever brings shoes.
Right. I mean, I would like to say that I call them homeless people, disenfranchised. I don't call them hobos.
I call them hobos.
I feel like that's, almost as bad as thinking women aren't people.
Don't try it. You're not going to get out of that one. That's a good try.
You're not nothing. You're not nothing. You're nothing just like men are nothing. I don't think
you are. I think you're wonderful people.
Everybody
that deserve rights and have rights.
I'm all for rights. I just,
I don't sound like it. So
please.
No. So your first open mic, what was your first workable joke, man? So like it could have been the joke that you used at a show or hit at an open mic that consistently hit, not like the first one that people laughed at. But like, man, you're like, because I remember there being a joke and I'm like, I can be a comedian. Like I wrote that completely on my own. No one helped me with it.
Yeah.
I came up with that premise on my own and people are laughing like, oh my God, it made you feel just like.
I think it's one I still do now, or a version of it is.
I still keep.
It was something that's like. Along the lines of like getting made fun of when I was a kid because of the way that I looked, because when I was a kid, my Middle Eastern features started to show and I hit puberty on September 12th. and then all the tags are like, I look like Pakistani history. Oh, it was I went to sleep looking like Aziz Ansari. I woke up looking like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And so I still do that one. I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah,
but
that was a good one.
Added to it. But yeah, that one I liked a lot. And I tried intentionally not to have so much stuff that's like, about looking foreign.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
I really respected that when you came on.
Rest on that
when we did that roast for that. Who was that really greasy guy? I feel like he was just a piece of shit.
There was a guy. He was a real piece. That's a guy who I know.
You remember that guy?
I know him, and I know he actively hates women.
Oh, I know. Every set he does, he's just like, women have no rights.
Yeah.
They deserve nothing but to be in the kitchen. He says that very consistently.
Yeah.
What was his name? I feel like it was like something seasonal.
It was like I think he's into astrology. So
astrology. It's like, Ozzy Moon. Ozzy Moon was the guy.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay, that's it. He hosted his own birthday roast.
I think you're right. I think it was. That must have been it. I was Ozzy Mars or something like that.
Something like that. I think it's Ozzy Moon. I think it's Ozzy Moon. Yeah.
Okay.
And so remember, so that guy contacted us and was like, "Hey, we should do this roast," and like Dave J will be on it, and then everybody was like, "Doing what you should do as comedians, and you're about to get up for a roast is be prepared."
Yeah.
And so I tried the angle of I was the host, so I was like, I don't know, like I can't host like Hudak hosts.
Yeah.
Where like brings everybody up on stage and just like fucking destroys everybody. And he's,
I'm just kidding, Mike. I love you.
And he his sweat is obviously all alcohol and powder's falling out of his nose. Anyway. He sweats Budweiser. Is alcohol. It's like 3.7% alcohol. So if you're trying to save money, you can just follow him around with a towel. So we were doing that roast, and then you said in the comments, like okay, because we had it could have been one of the best roasts because, but we got on the deal, and you were like, $10 to anybody who can make a non-Pakistani joke about me.
Yeah, I think and there I don't remember hearing,
and nobody did.
Well, Mike had a good joke.
Kerrigan had
that I liked a lot. I don't remember Kerrigan's.
You don't remember Kerrigan's?
But Mike's was like. Dave looks like what's the name of the terrorist group?
ISIS.
No, the other one, the new one.
No, Al-Qaeda's really old.
Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda's old.
He said I look like Al-Qaeda because it's Puerto Rican and Pakistan. That one stuck with me. I like that one a lot.
That's a pretty good one.
I like that one a lot. What did Kerrigan say? I didn't hear it.
I don't say. I can't remember right now. I just remember that them two were the only ones that had like semi-decent sets.
Yeah.
And then I brought two really good jokes that I thought were going to work, and they both fucking tanked.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that like sugar roast.
I don't know.
You know what sugar roast is?
No.
It's like where you say incredibly nice things, and you're like, boom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Andy Samberg
did like 2 or 3 really good ones. And I was like, look, everybody else is being dicks and mean. I'm the host. You're not supposed to laugh at me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try this out. I've never done it before. And I'll just see how it works. Like, I'm a nice guy. I don't like being a douchebag to you unless like we're just like, unless it's like, I don't know, we're like really, really, really good friends. And I know something about you.
Yeah.
I don't like just making generalizations. If I know something about you, like Spencer, if I know that like has this, he's just always naked. Like Spencer's just a piece of shit. He's easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
And so I have this deal that I'm gonna start. So I'm start going to food trucks for my other podcast.
Yeah.
And reviewing food trucks. And it's my goal to get as many people as I can to say that Spencer's a piece of shit.
Man, everyone knows a Spencer they don't like though. That's
I know it's so easy. It's so easy.
Spencer is not a name that somebody has who is like Spencer gave $10,000 to charity.
Yeah, he walked my grandma across the street. Spencer's the one that pushes past your grandma into the puddle.
Spencer's the one that evicts your grandmother.
Yes, he's the guy that he doesn't care. He's got a job, bro. He's got a job to go to. And so he's got a job to do. So no, anyway, but I was like, I'll just do I think mine for yours, and this is fucking terrible, whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I look at Dave J, and I'm like, oh man, this guy, you know, he's got a bunch of kids, and he looks super responsible, and I said a bunch of stuff. I can't remember what it was. There was a. I wish I remembered. But I was like, fucking. What are you just trying to be the most successful comedian here, loser? And I was like, anyway, up next is Dave J.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, I think my one versus Hudak was really good. I was like, next up is Mike Hudak. I really look up to this guy. You know, I do. I see him as a big brother, but I do that because I want to know, like, I want to consistently see how bad my life could go.
Right.
And then I just kind of I use all of his stories that he tells me, and I'm just like, what would Hudak do? Okay, I'll do the opposite.
It's like an older brother who is like, don't do this shit.
Don't do this shit.
No,
you know, like all those, do not
don't be like your brother.
Cocaine off of a stripper's ass at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
On 6th Street. Like,
yeah.
Do it in Vegas. Do it in Vegas like a grown up, but don't do it on 6th Street.
Right.
So what is your life outside of comedy?
Yeah, I mean, after this comes out, fucking nothing.
Father, you are ruined.
Yeah, I got 3 kids.
3 kids, man.
And they got a wife, and they got a honest.
They all have wives.
That I got a wife.
Oh, you got a wife. Okay.
None of them have wives yet. And if they choose to have wives,
they choose to have wives, man. Yeah, it is. So you have a son and 2 daughters.
I get a son and 2 daughters.
Okay, nice.
And yeah, I'm just a desk jockey.
Desk jockey? What do you do? What do you do for a living?
I work in marketing.
Okay.
So we like run like paid advertising and social media and stuff like that.
Okay. So you know how to market yourself?
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. Do you use a lot of that? Like, do you know how to like make sure that Dave J pops up on YouTube the most amount of times that he can?
I mean, I do, but it's not something I'm doing for myself. I really feel like I'm just trying to get as funny as possible before anyone knows who I am.
It's a big thing. There's like 2 schools of thought with that. Everyone tells you, like, you're not going to get big, you're not going to get famous unless you just put yourself out there. You got to continuously put yourself out there. And if you don't, like, because I was like, I was pushed by a lot of comics. They were like, hey man, you need to put stuff out there. You put stuff out there. You know, let people know where you're at. You know. And I was like, dude, I'm not that funny yet. Like, I'm doing okay, but I want to be super funny, and then people will be like, whoa, where'd this kid come from? You know?
Yeah.
But they talked me into it, and that's what I do now is I'm like, look, with the podcast, like, yeah, the first 4 were pretty rough, and they're out there. But,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you got to learn how to do it, and then eventually it's – you're never going to – with me, I think, and it's like if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And then, you know, like, what 2 years down the road when I could have already, and it made me stop and be like, okay, if I'm publishing something now, the next thing's got to be better, you know?
Right.
Not in a detrimental way.
You got to do the thing to get better at it, you know? Which is why I'm happy that, you know, comedy mostly takes place in rooms with almost nobody in them. Because like,
great. Everybody's like, oh, there's nobody at Love Go, there's nobody at Tramps, or there's nobody at yada 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 or Game Day.
Good.
Great. Yeah. No. What do I want people to hear? The depressing story that I had about this random. Went on a date on Friday, right? First date since the quarantine.
Ooh.
On a Bumble.
Yeah.
I'm on the Bumble for anybody
swiping. On Bumble. Wow.
Yeah, I'm on Bumble.
This guy cares about women.
Hell yeah, I do. It's the safest one. They say it's the safest one for women. Anyway,
I don't know. I don't even. I've been married. Even know it? I'm married. I know what Bumble is, but I've never used a dating app.
Oh wow, yeah. So like Tinder's supposed to be the sketchy one.
Yeah.
And then Ozzy uses Grindr.
Yeah, I heard
that's the rough one, other direction. And then Bumble is supposed to be like the, hey, I'm actually kind of like looking for a relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Deal. Anyway, so I got on and I was swiping, and I matched with this girl, and took her out to Texas Roadhouse, right?
Nice.
Classy.
Yeah. Baby, don't wear your heels. We're going to Texas Roadhouse.
Listen, baby. Listen, Daddy's going to take
Don't wear your nice shoes, baby.
Yeah, come on. You get some peanuts in them. You know what I'm talking about. Have you ever been to Texas Roadhouse?
I've been one time.
The whole floor is littered with
peanuts. The first time I came to Texas, it was for a job interview, and someone was like, I'm like, oh, I want to take my wife somewhere out to eat tonight. And they were not from Texas. And they were like, you got to go to Texas Roadhouse. Like, it's like pure, like, it's like what you do when you come to Texas. And I went there, and I was like, man, I wish we went with the Longhorns.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Okay, here's the deal with Texas Roadhouse.
It was not for me.
Is you got to go in there. You can't order the $12 steak.
Okay.
There's a significant. The one thing I don't like about Texas Roadhouse is I can't go in there and I just want a 12-ounce sirloin. You know, It's $12.99. I'd like to just have a little steak and go. You know, You can't do that there. You have to order the $18 steak. There's a significant jump between their sirloins and their ribeyes.
Okay.
And then their fucking T-bones, bro. If you want a T-bone, fuck going into Austin. Fuck going to Brazilian nice places. Texas Roadhouse has the best gosh dang T-bone steak that I think. No, there's one better. It's at the Stockyards in Fort Worth. If you're ever in Fort Worth,
okay,
it's at the Stockyards, and they have I think it's a 24-ounce T-bone. It's a big T-bone, and bro, it's like butter melts in your mouth, man.
Yeah,
it's so delicious. And like I was like, it's way too big of a steak. I'll just cut it in half. I'll take it with me, yada yada. My girlfriend at the time was like 120 pounds, and she finished that whole fucking like. So we were like, oh, we'll just split them and we'll have them. We'll go out drinking, and we'll get back. We'll have these steaks we can eat. We sat there, and I was like, I'm fucking miserable.
Yeah. That was at this date on Friday.
No. This was years ago. Anyway, so this date on Friday. We take her to Texas Roadhouse, and she gets there, and we're like talking, having fun. It was just a cute little date. It's the first date I've been on since the quarantine. Like I'd talked to ex-girlfriends and gone and hung out with them or whatever, but like a date, you know. So we get there, and we're talking and yada yada yada, and then she's like, "Yeah, I got surgery on Monday," because I was like, "Hey, I'm going out on the boat on Monday. Would you like to come?" It's nothing big. I've got a little John boat. It's like $80.
$80? You get an $8 boat?
$8 boat. It's really cool.
The blow up mattress?
with one of those fan propellers that you get and you just stick it in the water. No, it's just a little John boat, but I use it. We go out to an island there in Lake Georgetown. But so anyway, I'm going, and I was like, well, yeah, what are you doing Monday or whatever? And she was like, oh, I'm getting surgery. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What is it for? And she was like, I'm getting a breast reduction. And I was like,
this is on Friday.
This is on Friday.
What's
and
today?
I was like,
so tomorrow she's going under the knife.
She's going under the knife tomorrow. Damn. And she was like, yeah, I'm getting a breast reduction. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, like, it was, don't think she was oversharing. You? Maybe.
She was know. Like, this is my move. Is I tell them I'm getting a breast reduction, and if you don't react correctly, date's over.
Here's where it went weird. So I was like, okay, like, man, I'm sorry to hear that, you know? And she's like, oh,
I'm sorry to hear that.
I was like, what else do you say? I'm like, I'm sorry.
For your loss.
Yeah, sorry for your loss, man. And then she goes, and then so check this out. So we're getting ready to leave. And I'm like, yeah, I've got this show. I was going to that roast. I was like, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this, you know, deal. I'm going to a bar. I got to be there. And then, and she was like, okay, well, you know, like, here's my number and yada, yada. I was like, cool. And then she was like, hey, if you want to come say bye to him, you know, I'll be at my house. I was like, did you just invite me to your boob funeral?
Damn.
What?
That's
the weirdest
hilarious.
That's the weirdest thing I've been on a lot of weird dates.
Yeah.
That was the weird. And then I had to walk to that into that mic like, yeah, I didn't go. I'm a nice man that respects women and waits till marriage.
That's you know.
My grandma listens to this.
Grandma.
Grandma.
Gammy. That's what you call her, right? That is hilarious though that she made that offer. I do think it's kind of a weird. She's probably not a keeper.
No, definitely not a keeper. And I knew that when I walked in. You know, I kind of judge them.
Grandma's not going to like her.
She's definitely not coming home to see grandma. I've got these Crocs on, right? It's kind of my thing. I wear Crocs all the time. I wear them to dates, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I'm going on, if it's a fancy date, you know, like I'll wear my boots. I've got boots. I got fancy boots.
Yeah.
But normally I like to wear Crocs because like, hey, this is me all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And so if it's a fancy place to go to, I'll wear my fancy clothes. But if I'm not going to go for, one girl was like, really, you're wearing Crocs? I was like, bitch, we're at McDonald's. What are we doing?
Eat your Big Mac. We're at McDonald's.
Wait, hold on. I said dollar menu only. I said dollar menu only. Don't get crazy with the Big Mac.
We're at McDonald's. This is where you draw the line?
This
Crocs?
is where we draw the Crocs. Is where, listen, baby, I got a 401k.
Listen. Here's what I don't get since I moved.
I got two 401ks. What?
You get two 401ks?
I got two 401ks.
That's white privilege, man. I got one 401k.
I started working when I was 18 and I started building power lines. I worked for a company for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to another company and they're like, hey, and they're like, you can take your retirement with you. So I grabbed my retirement. I went to my next job and they were like, yeah, we don't have 401ks. We have pensions because I started working for the state.
Oh, okay.
And they were like,
so you got a pension
like,
as well as a 401k or you have?
Yeah, I was like, I have this thing that says that I can be old. Can y'all make sure that still happens?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do with this. I was just like, they were like, we'll take it to like Edward Jones or somebody like that.
Yeah,
Edward went up and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, here's my check. It's a lot of money. And
I did the same thing.
So it's still a 401k. It's still building. They said they projected, I put in 80,000 and they said projected by the time I could pull it out.
80,000?
Yeah.
How old were you when you did this?
22.
Where the hell what would your contribution level at? Like 12%?
I had it at 14. I think they matched up to 12.
God, that's why.
And then somebody told me when I started making $25 an hour at 18 years old.
Yeah.
And so
that's good. That's really smart that you did that.
He was like, because he was helping me sign them on paper. I'm an idiot fucking 18-year-old. I don't know anything that I'm signing. Yeah. And so I talked to one of the old guys I'd only known him for a week, but he was a smarter old guy and he was in my interview process. And I was like, hey man, I said, honestly, I don't have like, what am I saying? I didn't have a father figure, but I didn't have like, at that time, me and my dad were in the outs and I didn't have anybody I trusted. And so I was like, hey man, can you just help me with this? And he was like, sure, man. He was like, sit down. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. He was like, do you mind not having as much money? And I was like, oh, I kind of like money. And he was like, look, this is what your paycheck could look like. And I was like, that's fucking amazing. Yeah. And he was like, that's with 14% taken out. So you're happy with that? I was like, yeah. He was like, cool, boom.
Dude, 14% is so, we were getting
they
matched
dollar for dollar up to 10%. And then 50 cents on the dollar to 12%. And then it was 12% or 14%. And then after that is whatever you want to put in.
That's incredible. Because I just got too many kids. So like my contribution, I'm not even at 14% yet. I don't think I'll ever get to 14% contribution. Because it's just like, I need that money. You know what I mean? Like,
but when you get a raise, that's how I did it. I mean, well, with my new job, what I had to. So we still have.
You just put it away like it didn't happen.
No, I started it. I started it like 8% because I needed the money because I was already used to living with that money. You know, I guess.
I mean, that's the thing. You know,
it sucks. Can't go back. What I did is I realized I'd made a mistake and I wanted to get back to 14, but I couldn't because I already had truck payment. I had this, I had that, house payment, and so I just went back and I was like, you know what? Every time I get a raise, I'm gonna raise it 2%.
Yeah.
Every time I get a raise. So I would get a $3 raise and I'd be like, look, whatever, 2% and whatever that is. And you never see it if you just do it along with the raise. And so it got back up to 14%. And my pension now is, I mean, it'll be, even if I move to a new job, I'll have a third pension, you know, or a third check. And so it's not like they'll be gigantic because they stop paying into them. But by the time that 80,000, by the time I'm 63, it'll
be something.
$350,000 is how much they say it'll be.
Yeah.
Depending on the stock market crash. Like, dude, this world's
right now it's worth about $20.
Yeah, I think I looked at it the other day. It was at 80 right before this deal.
I mean, yeah, you can't.
I mean, it was bigger. It was bigger than 80 because it's how much I put in. And then I remember going back, and then one of my buddies was like, "Hey, you need to check on your 401ks, your IRAs, all your stuff. Because I invest in. I've got like Robinhood app.
Got that.
I got like $3,000 in it. Like and so I looked at it. It was so depressing. Like I didn't even open up my Robinhood app.
Yeah.
Until like
I'm locked out of mine.
Are you?
I did the wrong code too many times.
Oh, did you?
And I forgot whatever the master code is, whatever. Because I had a 401k from another job that I don't know why I couldn't roll it over. So I just put it in there into an IRA.
Okay. In with Robinhood?
Or no, I put it in.
There's IRAs.
It's an IRA in Robinhood, I think.
Was it Roth?
And Roth IRA? I guess whatever the one is that is not in. It doesn't have a limit. I don't know. But I just put it in there. I haven't done anything with it.
Okay.
And so, and then I bought like a handful of stocks in there just to, mess around.
I made a lot of money on Carnival Cruise.
You did?
When it tanked, it hit. I had like one or two prior. to this whole thing going down.
Yeah.
And then when it hit, I went from like $80 to $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm fucking quadrupling down, baby. I bought 13 shares, and then I went and bought 12 of Norwegian Cruise Line, and then I bought like 8 of Royal Caribbean.
Yeah.
I bought them all at like under $15.
When quarantine started?
When like on March like 20 something, when everything was like bad. I just went through and I was like,
smart, yeah.
I just
or maybe I don't know if it's smart. I don't know.
I don't know if it is, but right
it
now
might be smart.
I've already made.
Would you lose lose $100 or something? You know?
No, right? Yeah, well, I mean, right? Yeah, $100. However, that was $10 to $130. I could potentially lose. Right now, I've got $250 up.
Yeah.
So I've got like whatever, 130 plus $250 invested in them.
People love to cruise, man. They'll be back.
It's gonna be back.
They'll be back
as soon as they say
if you can
cruises are open. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm
gonna be on. There's so much fucking.
Can I tell you that the idea of a cruise? It seems like a nightmare to me.
It does. I thought the same. So my buddy, so he got married on a cruise, right? He asked me to marry him.
That's so progressive.
It is, man. It was great. It was a super funny joke. He's been my best friend since childhood, and we went to tell my mom, and we walked in, and it was like Sunday. I just go visit my mom on Sundays, and he lives right around the corner from my mom, and so I went and picked him up, brought him over, and walked in, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, I have something that I'd like to talk to you about." She was like, "Okay, what is it, baby?" And Austin was like, "Hey, let me get it." And he was like, "It's more respectful if I do it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I agree." He's like, "Miss Richards, I'd like for your son to marry me." And she was like, stone faced. She was like, "Okay, I support you guys." I was like, "Mom, you're not supposed to act like that. I'm gonna officiate his wedding. Like, quit fucking. Don't act like that's a real thing that could happen."
And you told your grandmother, and she like lit a cross.
Oh, she just she had it was horrible. Half her body went numb, and she had a stroke. So I love her so much, and so anyway, we went, and so he was like, "But it's gonna be on a cruise," and I was like, I have a whole like 10-minute bit about it.
Yeah.
He like calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, we're going on a cruise." I was like, "What are you speaking French? We ain't doing shit. I'm not getting on a metal boat full of 1,000 people I don't know. Like, I'm Irish. That shit doesn't work out for us. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be a goddamn nightmare."
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Like, it sounds terrible. It does. But as soon as you're on there, like, you don't have cell phone service the entire time you're gone. As soon as you get on that boat, as soon as it pulls away from the harbor, you lose cell phone service, and it costs like $150 for the week to have cell phone service. So it's like, I don't want that. Turned off my phone, put it away, and then you get a drink package. Like, even I'm not like a heavy drinker. I like the way beer tastes. I like the way whiskey tastes. I don't like being drunk and out of, like, where I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
I drank pina coladas on the deck of that boat and had some of the most relaxed, like, not a worry in the world. I can't do anything about anything.
Yeah.
Even if this boat catches on fire, I can't do shit.
Yeah.
So, like, fucking just enjoy life, man. I got to go see some of the most beautiful places. I sat on a beach by myself.
Where'd you guys go?
Went to Jamaica, Cozumel, and the Cayman Islands.
Did you take out of the Gulf? Like,
we took out of Galveston. So the Gulf of Mexico, yeah.
Yeah.
Took over. There was a 3-day trip. To the first stop was Jamaica. And then we hit Cozumel and then the Cayman Islands. He got married in Cozumel.
I saw, I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about cruises and how, like, they, like, the trips, like the journey to wherever you're going is, like, artificial. Because, like, if wherever you're going, they just want to have you at sea for a certain amount of time. So, like, if it takes you a day to get there, they'll just zigzag or go back and forth. Yeah. So it takes you, like...
Is this a 7-day cruise? It sucks. I wish they would have stopped at port for a full day, but you're there for 6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours is a really great time to be at a place. You either need to be there 6 hours or you need to be there 7 days. Because I got there and it was like, I only can do one thing. Like, I want to do one thing. And so I took off, and everybody was doing these beach excursions, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, nothing of that sounds super appealing to me, and I don't just want to hang out with you guys all the time. I don't have to hang out with you guys. I went and sat on a beach by myself, talked with some people.
That's a good amount of time to just do nothing.
Yeah,
and just be like, it was like I was there.
I don't feel like I feel so. It's probably my Catholic guilt, but I feel so happiness. Like, I can't drink a beer unless I feel I've earned it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't enjoy things. I can't enjoy whiskey unless I've done something that day. I have to get up at 7:30 every morning and make my bed and do a thing.
Yeah.
I've got to go in my bathroom, and if even if it's just clean my sink. If not, I feel like a piece of shit all day long. It's a weird thing that's in my head, the way that I function. And so I can't go on a vacation and enjoy it unless I've done something to reward myself of that, you know? Yeah. And so that was the only time that I felt like none of that mattered. And so I just, I sat there, I met random people. I won the manliest man competition.
Oh shit. What'd you have to do?
I had to dance.
Okay.
I had to dance.
So far, not that manly.
Yeah. Not that manly at all. And then there was women judges in the front. And then you had to like take your shirt off like seductively.
Right.
And then the first girl, it was like, there's like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. There's a 21 to 25-year-old. There's a 40-year-old, and then there's an 80-year-old.
This is on purpose.
The oldest person in the room. They like say like, "Hey, I need a woman." They just come out and they're like, "Hey, I need a 18 to 19-year-old." That girl goes up there. I need a 21 to 25-year-old. That girl goes up there.
I bet you were killing it at the upper end,
bro. That 80-year-old, she won the show for me for sure. You know, the 21-year-old was like, she was the one that like she's like consistently picked me. Her and the 80-year-old were the two that like picked me every time.
That's your demo, man.
It's my demo, baby. Hey, look, I got the specific 21 to 25. After that, it's 80, baby.
Yeah,
I kill it at.
I'm gonna lose you in the middle.
I'm gonna lose you in the middle, but it's fine. We don't have to care about those people.
Yeah,
I go to nursing homes and do most of my comedy. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And so
I kill.
Florida is kill. Literally.
Yeah,
kill. It's not a great part of the show, but it happens.
That's how you know it's over.
That's how you know it's over. Yeah. Can't bring a crowd back after that. So we went on there. So you like go up and like the 18-year-old's supposed to like judge how hairy your chest is. So she's like, well, okay. Because you don't want an 18-year-old girl touching old dirty men. And so watch how progressively it gets worse. And so like she's like, she has to like judge your hair. So she's like, oh, it's pretty hairy chest, or whatever.
Right.
And then the next, a 21 to 25-year-old, she's supposed to judge your muscles. Right. So she gets, you're supposed to like pose off.
Yeah.
And then she like feels your muscles, like your pecs, like get a hold of them glutes, baby. Get a hold of them glutes. Them glutes right there, them glutes. And then the 40-year-old, she's supposed to judge your like there was the muscles. Oh, and then you got to strike a pose. Yeah. So what's your sexiest face? So you got to like do your sexy face, whatever it is. And the 80-year-old, you got to dance on her.
So how many contestants were there?
There was like 40.
There were 40
I think there was like
dance on this woman.
No, so the first time you go out there, there's like 4 different challenges.
Oh, but she was so like not everyone got to the end.
No, not everybody got to the end. So the first time you go, there's like 40 people. There's just whoever signs up. So it's just like 40 guys that signed up, and then everybody does the walkway in the center of the boat. You just do this like walk. Everybody does. You do the dance.
Do they play that song that the I'm too sexy for?
Yes, that one came out for sure.
Of
course it does. Yeah, and then baby, you're a firework. I can't remember what. So
yeah, but there's like a whole bunch of different shirts. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I know all the lyrics.
And then you had to. They rang a towel. The last. So you do that one, then like 20 people get cut.
Yeah.
And then there's 20 people left. And then they go and they ring a towel up. The lady brings a towel. She puts it in the water. She brings it out and she lays it over there. And she's like, hey, that's an anaconda. And you got to protect the girls from the anaconda. You got to do something weird. It was like this weird thing. I was like, I don't know. So I like snuck between people.
Yeah.
It was like dun, 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 dun. And then I did a roll. I did a jump roll in between chairs. And then everybody was like, what? That was crazy. Well, impressive. It was just a bunch of fat dudes and it was me. So it was like, I fucking won this one for sure. And then I dove from the chairs on top of the snake.
Yeah.
And then like wrestled around with it. And I did a rear naked choke on him.
Damn.
And then I pulled him up and then threw him on the ground. I was like, what, bitch? And then, so that got me into the next round. And then then they like pick the top 2. So then the 10 people that got cut from that one, now there's 5. Now you do feel the muscles and the hair and stuff like so. There's 5 of them, and then it gets down to 2, and then they let the crowd. They split the crowd in half. There's the aisle, it's this side and this side. It's a super long deal. I didn't realize it was this long, and so I've already started it, so I gotta finish it. And so there's this side and this side. So it's Team Dean and Team Dave.
Yeah, and
then they dress you however you think is the most ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like I brought out a bra. And a long, a big lady hat.
Where'd you get a bra?
From the crowd. This lady was like, I got a bikini.
Threw one out.
I think she got it out of her bag. She was like, I got a bikini. And I was like, fuck it, I'll put it on. I put on a bikini. And I got a big walking cane and a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then then the contest is who can make the longest Congo line. And at the end, I had the fucking whole boat.
You should be a party animal. So you get on there and just be like,
yeah, it's my deal.
Yeah.
It was great. I won that. You got a bottle of champagne. I got the 21-year-old's phone number, and
yeah. I gotta say,
the 80-year-old gave me her phone number too, but
she died before I could call her.
It was a rotary deal. She's like, you gotta take the 0 all the way around.
She gave you her number, and she's like, you have to use a rotary phone. Otherwise, you cannot reach me.
You cannot. It's very specifically. It's only in Shiner, Texas.
Yeah,
it's the only place you can get that dial tone. But when you get back, go ahead.
You need a switchboard operator to contact me. I gotta say, all this has not changed my attitude on cruises. It sounds like a fucking nightmare. It sounds like a nightmare. Oh. I don't want to be in the contest. I don't know. I feel like
you're not forced to. It's just like you can. There's comedy shows every night. The whole time there was something to do the entire time. I was never bored. There was like twice that I remember we were drinking all day, and I walked outside and like there's just the ocean is there, and I'm like, oh shit, we're on a boat.
Yeah,
like you feel like you're on a giant hotel.
That's cool. I mean that part would be cool. Like I would like to I've been watching this show. You ever watch Alone?
Alone? No.
It's called Alone. It's this. It's like
it's my life.
I live alone. I look in the mirror sometimes.
Hey, buddy, how are you doing?
Alone again. It's like a survival competition show.
Is it like Naked and Afraid?
Yes, but it's like there's 10 people and they're all by themselves, and they all get dropped off some remote part of the world.
It's like Survivor.
Yes, but they're all completely secluded. They film themselves. There's nobody with them at all.
Really? And I see some of those that they do that, and I'm like,
well, what they do is they have someone. I've been reading up on it. They have someone like they come out and check on them every week.
Okay.
And they like do a medical check, and they have like a GPS tracker on them, I'm sure, stuff like that.
Yeah. Hand him 100, he'll give you a granola bar or something.
Yeah. You'd be like, yeah, what's news from the outside world? And they
imagine if they were stuck. There was shows that were going on like that during this.
Oh yeah.
The quarantine.
Yeah. And you come back and be like, hey, listen, the world's over.
By the way,
hey, we're gonna extend this. But yeah,
they made them quarantine for like a week or 2 weeks, however long a quarantine was when they came back from those shows. There was like 3 shows that they were doing like that, like it was Survivor.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Or it was The Bachelorette, whatever. There was a few that I read on, and they were like,
"Actually, you know what sucks about the shows? You can't have your phone." I always thought that when I was watching like Real World and shit, like back in the days, like they don't even watch TV.
No,
that sounds terrible.
That sounds awesome, bro.
You got to be with these strangers all day.
Yeah, you just got to talk to people, you know?
I want to be alone. Well, this is my point. I want to be on that show. I don't want to be on the show, but like it's pretty hardcore. Like they're like the deal is whoever taps out, or whoever doesn't tap out, whoever lasts the longest wins. So they go
so it could be for months.
Yeah, I think the record is like 70 days almost. And you just and
is there a deal where they're like, hey man, do you want to split it?
No, because they don't ever see each other.
They don't see each other?
That's the thing is you're just out there. The only way you know if you won is if they show up and tell you won. So it's not like they're going to be like, hey, we're down to 2, we're down to whatever. They're just like, just quit or don't quit. And one day we'll tell you won.
Quit and then we'll tell you you won.
Like if you
do they show up and tell you like, hey, you won? Or is it like, I quit and they're like, oh, thank God, because you won.
That would be great. It was like, the last guy quit 100 days ago.
Like, dude, they lasted 3 days, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like
they'll come tell you. But like that shows me thinking like, man, I want to do like try some like adventurous shit, you know. But like I hate camping. That's the thing is I want to go do some adventurous stuff and then like go. Like
you should come on a back. We should go. Do you hunt?
No, I don't hunt.
Would you? Is it like a moral issue with you, or is it just like you've never done it?
No, I just never. I'm from Massachusetts.
Dude, you should come. We should go like go camp out and hunt deer.
I'll do it.
Yeah, that'd be a great. That'd be a great like
to help me out here.
GoPro the entire time. You know,
we got to get the right timing though, because like I can't be out there all the damn week. You know?
Your no, for sure. Like if you want to go into the mountains and shoot something big, then it's going to take us about a week. But you can go. Well, I mean, whitetail. We can drive to. My lease is about an hour and a half from here.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can go shoot. In the morning, we can be done by 10.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then you can fill your freezer up.
Yeah.
And your kids can eat. You know,
I wonder
fresh
if my wife
meat.
would cook. Would my wife would cook deer,
bro?
I had watching the show with me.
That was like, I was like, I don't know. It's like deer meat. It's like bro. By the end of our relationship, we dated for like a year and a half. By the end of our relationship, she was like,
she was in the freezer.
She was all.
She was like,
I can't get deer meat now. She's like, one of the most depressing parts about us breaking up. She was like, how am I going to get my deer meat? And I was like, well, I mean, you get a taste for it. I mean, and then also,
you had your chance, baby.
It cost you. You had your chance, baby. You messed it up. This gravy train is leaving the station.
That's right.
So she had a freaking like you can make anything you can do with beef, you can do with venison.
Yeah.
And it's once you get the taste for it, it's like that's all you want now.
Yeah.
Which it's
I don't know if I've ever had deer meat. I don't know if I've ever had deer meat.
It's delicious, man. It's out of all of the wild game, it's like hog is the worst, and then like probably like quail, and then dove, and then deer meat, and then you go to like mule deer, elk.
See, this is some
bear tastes fucking disgusting.
This is stuff I want to try because it's so foreign to me. I've never been hunting. I shot a gun for the first time in my life like a year ago.
Wow, what'd you shoot?
We went skeet shooting.
Oh, okay, so shotgun. Yeah,
yes, it's a shotgun.
Yeah,
and it was cool.
Dude, there's something like
it's scary though.
I have a lot of friends, especially in Austin, like meeting comedians have never shot guns.
Yeah,
and I take him like Pat Bernard. I took him out shooting for the first time.
Yeah,
and he was very scared. He's like, this is a death button.
It's a gun.
Like he said, it's a death button to me. Like I've never held this in my hand. Like it's like I can end somebody's life. And I was like, okay, let me take it away for a little bit. Let's talk about this. Okay, no, you can have it back. Now we talked about it. No, but he was like, there is something very, very therapeutic about it. Yeah, like, to me it is because that's how I grew up. You know, I mean, I've been hunting. I shot my first gun at 5.
It's so funny to me because when I went last year, these friends of ours were like, oh, we're gonna go ski shooting with some people. Do you want to go? And I said yeah, just because I'm like, I've never done that before.
Yeah. And
I never shot a gun at all. Yeah. I never even held a gun. in my life.
Wow.
And so we went to this thing, and I went with my buddy, and he brought his 2 kids, and one of them, the youngest one, he was like maybe he was 11 or 12 at the time. And so I went, there's all these guys there, and I'm like talking to people, and like everyone's super nice, and I never met any of these people before. And he's like telling his son like, all right, you need to come, like it's your turn. And he's like, he doesn't want to. Like he's like active. He's very nervous. He's like, I don't want it.
A lot of kids are, yeah. It's scary. I mean, especially for a shotgun. Like, there's a lot of other guns. The shotgun is very loud. It's very aggressive. It's got a kick to it, and everybody always tells people like it's got a kick to it. Like watch out, it's gonna kick you. It'll knock you on your ass.
Yeah.
But it makes you be tender with it, and what you need to. Like I've seen my little brother, 10 years old. Shoots very well with a shotgun, but he holds it. If you hold it super tight to your body,
right,
and you don't give it a lot of room to move around, it's not that bad. But it's when you tenderly hold it, right, you're like and then it's gonna throw back into your chest. I'm tense
the whole time. I'm like that.
Yeah.
But he was telling his son, he was like, "You need to shoot this gun," and like I never been a gun person at all, and I never and like I'm from up north, so a lot of times I'd be like, I don't get gun culture. I don't get like any of this gun shit, but being there with those guys and watching my friend like talk to his son, like you need to shoot this gun. Like it's very important that you know how to do this. It's very important to me. Like it was a moment where I was like, I get it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because like it's like, I don't know if it's like a tradition thing, family thing, whatever it is. But like he was like watching that and then hanging out with those guys. And then I was talking to one guy. And
teach him how to be a man. Like it's telling you it's okay to be. Like, you can't be scared of things. You can be scared of things, but you can't let that rule your life. If you have something that you're scared of, you got to face it head on, and learn how to use it. It's not a scary thing. It's something that it's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And you've got to be careful with it. But if you know how to use it, it's a tool that you can use to put dinner on the table. Like that's a generation ago, I'd say, a generation ago, my grandpa, there was times that they were so poor that if they didn't have a deer, if they didn't hunt a deer, then they weren't having food.
Yeah.
Like that's an intense thing to think about. And that was just a generation ago,
That's the thing is like that when you see people, when you actually go hang out with those people, it's not like they're like all bloodthirsty animals who are like, I got to shoot this gun, which is like the image that you get if you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, I didn't realize till halfway through, this was a church sponsored event. Like the pastor was there. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a pastor. And I'm like, oh,
there it is.
That's strange. I don't mean a lot of pastors. And then afterwards, they were like grilling steaks and they're like talking about church business. And I'm like, oh shit, this is intense. I'm in Texas.
This is Texas, baby. Welcome to Texas.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, there's one of the things that I get into, like debating like PETA people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that I'm just like, look, I'm not going to argue with you. This is how you view, and this is how I view, and you don't want to have a conversation. You want to have an argument.
Right.
But the one people I will argue with is the PETA people, that they're like, hey, hunting is wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, cool. Look, the best argument I have for that is, look, if we don't hunt, like we shoot the deer in the prime of their life, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe a little past it. Like I shoot a deer around 5 to 6 years old, right? Because by that point, she's almost done having babies. You know, she's lived out her life well.
Yeah.
So the future for her is dying of old age, which is not good in the wild. So the coyote is going to eat her alive.
Yeah.
While she's still alive, that coyote is going to eat her. Or she loses all of her teeth and she dies of starvation.
Damn.
Or she can blink, be happy while she's eating corn or grass. And then she blinks and then she's dead. That's a much better way to go out. Like, yeah. And we don't, so many hunters, they're like, people are like, you just, just shooting them. Like I take time. Like I study that animal. I take my time and I make the best shot that I can.
Yeah.
So that she dies instantly. Like preference to me is shooting them in the head so that they don't feel a damn thing.
That's something I wonder about, because like for me, like I don't feel like, I'm definitely not a PETA person who's like, we shouldn't be eating animals.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like the thing we went skeet shooting last year, like you don't know until you do it. Yeah. That's why I want to do that kind of stuff, because you really don't know how you feel about it until you do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I think there's so certain things, like, I don't know, like I would agree that, if there, so that's why I'll compromise on a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, like when people are like, I love running dogs,
Yeah.
Which is where they let dogs out and they go find a hog.
Oh, okay.
And then you kill that hog, with a knife. You go over there and you get these bay dogs and they bay up hogs. They find the area that they're at, and then you release these giant pit bulls. And those giant pit bulls grab a hold of that hog, and then you run up with a knife and you grab the hog, throw him on his side, and then you stab him and kill him.
Jesus Christ, that's up close.
That is up close and personal. I went some Cajuns the first time. It was in Kennedy, Texas, and they were like, hey, man, you love hunting? I was like, yeah, man, I love hunting. I'm like 19, I think.
Where are the guns? Like, we got these.
No, they didn't even tell me
knives.
That. They got us out there, and they were like, I'd heard of running dogs before. I'd been around people that did. I grew up in the country, just had never done it before. And they were like, you run dogs before? And I was like, yeah, I don't run dogs. I've been around there. So
you got a Cajun accent all
of a sudden. My family's from Louisiana. A lot of my family's from Louisiana. So, oh, you got a pulse movement in that tree right there? I'll tell you to get out of the common sense, man. They go down to bayou, you know what I'm saying? And so, I could a whole joke where I do that for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And the crowd is just like, what? And I'm like, oh shit. My uncle said that that we're having possum for dinner. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, they talking and we're running the dogs, and so it's like they got these super high tech. They got these GPS trackers that they wear the dogs wear collars so they don't lose them. So they just get out there on their 4-wheelers, and then they watch the dogs running around in this field. Yeah, and they're like, all right, well, when they start baying, because in the old days they would bay. That's why the hound dogs, they're like burr, burr, because they treat a coon, right?
Yeah,
and so that's how the hunter would know. He'd listen for that sound. And he'd be like, all right, well, now that dog is treat a coon, there's certain sounds that when they're chasing them, they go, boo, 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 boo. And when they've really stuck to a place, they go, boo, boo. Like there's different, it's super interesting. I love listening to some of those old stories.
I feel like I'm on the bayou right now. This is incredible.
I feel that sultry, sweet, sultry sound.
Humid in here.
It is. It's Ozzy's apartment. And so, I just love shitting on Ozzy. And so anyway, so I get there, then so I'm running with these guys, and they're drinking moonshine and whiskey, and like they're just getting wild. And I'm like, I don't know these people. And I'm like, I don't like, usually they're like, hey, we'll have a beer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I kind of like, it's me. The way I grew up, my dad, kind of, I said, I don't mind if you do, but like if I'm handling firearms, I like to stay sober.
Right.
It's just my thing. I understand you people don't, but like it's cool. And they were like, no, I ain't got no firearms. Like, what are you gonna do with the hog? And he was like, that's what I go Bessie for. And I was like,
Jesus,
are you gonna throw the knife at him? He's like, nah. I'm still not.
You got
thinking.
A knife gun?
You got a knife gun? I want one of those so bad. And so we get there, and he's just like, and the first time he's just like, they reach over there. It's like a 250-pound hog. Dude grabs it by the back legs, flips it over, sticks his knee on it, and he goes, all right, kid. I was like, oh, okay.
How old are you?
19.
No, man,
still, man, I'm like, oh, dude, it was that's so I understand there's guys that take care of their dogs. Their dogs live a very great life.
Yeah.
And then there's guys that don't take good care of those dogs. And so the problem with Texas hogs is the reason they have to do that is because they are such a giant problem. Mm-hmm. They run through, like they breed, they drop babies 4 or 5 times a year.
Damn.
And they drop 10 piglets a time. And they're just massively spreading. They kill cattle. They run through fences. They tear up wildlife. They're killing quail. They're killing rattlesnakes. Like it's become a giant problem in Texas. And so those people get paid. They'll get like $50 a hog.
You know, the whole thing with hunting too is like, if a hog could stab us, they would.
But they've got tusks. They will fuck you up, son.
They would. If they were
There's
like,
so many times I'm walking through the woods and I hear that they got like this. They got this nasty sound to them. Yeah. And so like that, like it's just this weird sound that comes out of nowhere. I'm walking with my buddy. I've got a 40 cow.
It's funny is like people like country people who hunt, people like that, they know the sounds of every animal. Like they can make every animal sound.
What is it? You ever heard this one though? It's a dove.
I didn't know that. Man.
Dove. You hear that in a tree? As Indians used to use it, like to tell each other where they're at. Anyway, and so which always blew my mind because what if there's just a random dove out there and like that dove gives the signal? Like, that's just what I didn't tell you to go. That was an actual dove, asshole. Where they have to go kill the doves in that area just to make sure before they're attacked. So I've been in that. We're walking through the woods and I hear that like that sound, and like my buddy's sitting there and I've got a 40 cal on my side. I've got my 30-06 or my 243 probably is what I was using then, and then I've got my 22, my snake gun on me. We're just walking to the blind. That's just the stuff that I have.
Damn.
I gently put my 243 down, and I found the closest tree. And my buddy's looking around looking for the hog, getting ready for it. He's like, Dean. I'm like, hey, I'm up here. Holler at me if that doesn't go well. I'm waiting for that motherfucker wherever he's at. He can't climb this tree. That's the only thing I know about that hog. But they got tusks that come out of their mouth that are 5. They call them cutters, and they're like 5 to 6. There's like they can become 5 to 6 inches long.
I don't know about
that. You ever kill you?
You ever go noodling?
Yeah, I've been noodling before.
Yeah,
it's super fun. Around here, there's not a whole lot of places, but Louisiana's big. Up in around the border. There's gotta be some big rivers. We just don't have big rivers around here.
Yeah.
We got lakes. I mean, there's a couple places. A lot of people drop washing machines and boxes. They call them boxes. So they build a box specifically for that cat and they'll put it in the water, like sink it in the water. And then they'll put a GPS marker or they'll put like a flag up. And so they'll just cruise around the lake and they're like, oh, if you ever on a lake and you see like a bobber, most likely there's a jug line attached to it, which a jug line is they take a milk jug.
So they just put like basically like a trap for the fish to go into.
Yeah,
or
it's not a trap.
A place like that's where we know they're gonna hang out there.
Yeah, they know that's where they're gonna have babies. That's where they're gonna live in that deal. And so then you just go in there and you stick your hand in there and let them bite.
People in the bayou will find any way to kill something.
Bro,
no guns, just washing machines.
They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck down there, dude. They're insane. There's Navy SEALs that grew up in Louisiana, and they used to just take their boat out. This is some of the most insane thing I've ever seen. So I heard this story. My buddy's like, "Yeah, people do that. People don't actually do that." And I saw a guy. We went duck hunting, and we were going out afterwards. We were coming back, and there was like a 4-foot alligator, size of this table.
Yeah,
you know, still a big fucking alligator.
It's too big for me.
And so it's way too big for me. Yeah. I ain't doing that shit. And he just goes, he's like, hey, kind of cruise up next to it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I'm thinking like he's going to like knock him on top of the head or shoot him or something. Dude just rolls on top of this alligator's back.
Just for fun?
Just for fun. Wrestles it with it for a little bit and then lets it go. And that alligator takes off. And he hops back in the boat. He's like, oh, man. Whoo, needed that.
That's so
I was like, why do you need that?
That's so funny.
What is wrong with these people? There's just cocaine in the system down there, you know?
Is it?
In the watering system, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, water treatment. They're just tried out with cocaine in the 80s, and they're like, it works.
It's gotta be. It's not a
Doesn't
place.
Not work.
It's not a place to live. It's not like they just.
I love New Orleans. I've done some shows there. It is one of the fun.
You shouldn't live there.
You shouldn't live there.
You shouldn't live there. It's not supposed to be. There's someone in town. I don't know who. And I feel
this
bad.
podcast will never reach them. It's fine.
Okay, good. Oh, we're not recording. There's someone in town who has a joke. It might be Kelly Shea. If it's not, I'm sorry. if you don't like the joke, Kelly Shay. But it's I think like someone talking about taking a trip to Louisiana, and someone he was like, oh, it's so long, and why does it have to be so far away? And he's like, New Orleans is right where it needs to be, and he's like, it could be like 20 feet higher, probably. Is that Kelly? Yeah, I like that joke a lot.
Yeah, people said it before. What is it? Not that. No, I'm not saying it's still a joke, but there's a comedian that like Daniel Tosh walked in there to like New Orleans, and somebody like was like, "Hey, I'll give you a $5 if you make fun of Katrina," and he was like, $5 doesn't matter to me. Saying that I won't do it, Will.
Yeah.
And he walked in there. He's like, I ruined that show the first 10 seconds. So he was like, oh yeah, the Saints didn't go to the Super Bowl, but at least y'all got a well-needed bath. It's like, oh man. He was like, and he thought that they would have a sense of humor, and they did not.
That's
no, because their family members died. Like,
yeah,
that's a big deal,
it's just,
bro.
I know it's like if you're from there, it's tough, but like it's just in a bad spot.
It's in a horrid spot.
They chose a bad spot.
Yeah. It was maybe 100 years ago, whatever, 150 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't as flooded and shit. It's like Venice. Like, I mean, it's literally on a floating island. Like, the water's rising.
I was just
Don't
looking
build a
at,
mansion.
I read this book, 1776. It's about that 1776 during the Revolutionary War. And they were showing like this map of Boston. And I'm from Massachusetts. I'm looking at them. I'm like, that's not what Boston looks like. And then I Googled it, and like sometime in the 1850s, they were like, there's just not enough room because it was very narrow.
Yeah.
And then there was, across the water, there's, two sides of Boston. You can get to like Dorchester or to, I can't remember what's on the other side. And so they're like, it's not enough room in Boston. Those people, who knows? So they just started throwing dirt in the bay. For like 50 years, they just dumped dirt in the bay and filled in both the north side and south side of Boston so that there was no water there. And now that's just where the city is. And I'm like, just go inland like a little bit.
What?
I mean? Like they completely.
That is insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
They were like, yeah, who cares? They're like, we want to be here. I mean, a lot of cities are like that. A lot of cities are just like, it's just a good spot.
Yeah.
Like, I think Miami's that way too. Like, there's no, I could be wrong. I don't know. But it's like whenever the Civil War was, or like leading up to the Civil War, like there was really no reason to go to the south part of Florida. It was just all swamps.
Yeah.
And so some dude in like the 1850s went, I think, I could just all be completely wrong, went down to Miami and was like, it's kind of crap. It was mostly just the island across the bay. My wife's from Miami, so I know a little bit about Miami. It was mostly just the island that's across the bay from like the mainland, and like just started like basically set up like a resort. And then people kept coming, and then he was like, but also he bought up all the like swampland and was selling it to people. So, and they're just like,
I mean, if you're not from there, it's like, they're
like, this is great. Well, it's a swamp. It was like, yeah, but you want to be here. I was like, I guess, but they don't get that problem in Omaha. They're like, we used to be a swamp. It was like, no, it's always been a prairie.
So pre-swamp, it was
a
prairie, or no? There's no swamp.
Always a prairie. It was. This is always the correct place to live, not 10 feet from.
I mean, there's
water.
A bunch of Indians out there. They really don't like you, but
I mean, you gotta look at.
You gotta steal their land, and if you can steal their land, they didn't. They just sent like Texas. That's how Texas was made. Yeah, is the Mexican government could not kill the Comanches. So they were like, hey,
to me.
There's any white people who want some land.
Yeah.
This land is yours now. You'll come in and colonize it. And
mistake.
They did. And they, dude. They went in there and just killed all of the Indians and pushed them out. We gave them Oklahoma.
And then we took it back.
And then they started making money. We're like, hey, calm down. And so. Anyway, it's a horrid story.
They got a horrid story. There's so many. They got such a fucking raw
shit deal. Shit deal.
They got a raw. I read this.
They were the most like successful humans.
Yeah, they were just chilling.
They were so happy.
Going back to what you were saying about
they killed each other, but
that's gonna happen.
What are you gonna do?
But
there was people ripping people's hearts out and out of their live beating chest. But what are you gonna do? They were killing children. But what are you gonna do? It's always.
What are you gonna do? We do that, but we don't put it on the news.
We're not so blatant.
Yeah,
we're not so blatant about it.
But they like we were talking about before, they're like, what's the point of anything? Like, what are we doing? What's the point of being alive?
Like, they figured it out.
I gotta do all this thing, and they're just like, no, we're just gonna chill and like.
There's food on the ground.
Do our best.
We'll just eat that food.
We're gonna eat this food.
That chick's really hot. I'm gonna make a baby with her.
But they were brutal too. Like I read this book about.
They used to fillet people's skin off and
normally
dump them.
Not even sometimes.
Anthills. Not even like it was a daily, if not weekly thing. They're like
those plains tribes. Yeah. Those plains tribes are like, around like North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, like all that area were like the warrior tribes. And they were brutal. Like to each other, they were brutal. And then
so there's a deal. You could not become a man in the tribe.
Yeah.
Unless not even just to kill somebody. You had to kill somebody, but you had to scalp them alive. No, you couldn't do it dead. Oh, you had to prove that you scalped that person alive. And so they would actively like walk up on camps, sneak up, grab somebody by the neck, scalp them, and then leave them. You could kill them, I guess, but you had to scalp them alive. That was their rule.
Is the tribe that you went into, they would wake up the next morning and go, they got us. And like, we'll get them next week. Because it was like for like we would war.
Those rascals, they got us.
They would like war for sport.
Let's put another beat on the wall. God, bastards.
They would have war for sport.
Yes.
And it's not like
that used to be a thing too, but yeah.
Like it was all just like it's like just for glory. We're just gonna go over there and we're gonna because there's no like real.
You say you were big?
Concept. Wow, and by the way, I don't know. I read a couple of books. I'm not a fucking expert, so
yeah, for sure.
But like they would fight with each other just for the sake of it, Yeah. They were like we just don't like you for this reason, and we just gotta fuck you up. And then and they would go back and forth. Yeah. And if you quit, if the other side was like, we give up, they're like, you're fucking nothing.
You're fucking nothing. And they would destroy them.
Yeah. That's why they didn't understand. Like a lot of times they didn't understand the Americans.
Or at some point they're like, hey, dude, we don't have any more people. Right. And they're like, well, we'll call
or they would like hit the road. They would be like, there's like 10 of us left. We're just
or we'll leave some babies in you and eventually y'all get some people. Call us when those people grow up and we'll kill them.
But they didn't understand the Americans, when they started coming through like the plains area because they were actively trying to go through at the end of the Civil War because like now we have some time. The war is over. Now we can go just clean this up. And so they were like, they would fight in the winter and the Native Americans were like, what are they like? That's not how you're supposed to fight. Like, why are you doing that? Like, they didn't understand.
Don't be a dick. We don't have food right now.
Yeah, they're like, now's not.
We're just trying to survive. How are you surviving? Don't take our shit.
And so they also like they just didn't understand like the soldiers in the American Army were like, this is my job. Yeah. And the Native Americans were like, there's like a warrior class, like a warrior lifestyle, and so they're like, there's no comparison.
We did not efficiently. Sounds terrible. Clean them out. Like get rid of them until the Texas Rangers. I mean, honestly, the reason it was the Texas Rangers came in and they were like, they found the most insane people and they were like, and they lived by the Comanche code. They collected scalps. They were just horrid people. Yeah. And but that's what they needed, you know? And they were like, well, this is the way we got to fight them. And then they were like, just clean everybody out. By the way, here's a massive advantage. They don't have boomsticks.
Right.
Revolving pistols. They figured out revolving pistols.
Yeah.
And because the Indians could fire like arrows super fast.
Yep.
And they figured out how to do that and guard themselves. It's just the pistol's going to win in the end.
Yeah. Once I read the story about this guy Red Cloud, who was one of those Plains Indians who was like, I'm going to fight the Americans until I die. Like, there's no way I'm never going to stop fighting the Americans. Yeah. And then he got invited as like a dignitary to DC, and he went there and like they purposely gave him a tour of like we got a lot of shit. And they were like showing him like the armory and stuff like that. And he went back and he told his people, he was like, we got to give up. He's like, there's too many of them. They have all this advanced weaponry.
Giant arrows that fire breathes out of. Like, what are you going to do with that? Yeah. If you're sitting there like making fire with a stick and they're like, hey, well, how about this thing? Cool. This is pretty cool. Watch.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Continue on with your wood thing. Call me in 30 minutes. I'm gonna be eating my steak dinner. Yeah. But anyway, dude. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man. This has been a blast.
Absolutely.
It's been really fun.
You. That went by fast.
It was like 2 hours. We'll have it back on in a couple months. Yeah, and
I'd love to
look forward to the show. We're gonna show tonight. Plug. let people know where they can find you at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
What are you on? If somebody wants to see Dave J's comedy,
just follow me on Instagram.
Okay.
Dave at Dave JANJUA.
There it is, right there.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I got a Twitter.
I love doing that
it's the
every
same,
time. Rob never puts it up.
Really?
He always puts it down here. He refuses. He refuses to. Eventually, I'm going to point it, and what he does is he'll just if I point here, he'll put it up here. And then
let's do that. Let's challenge Rob. Wherever we point, just don't put it somewhere else. Yeah, just follow me on Instagram. That's it. You can find me on Twitter. You can follow me there, but Twitter makes me sad, so I don't go on there.
It does make me sad. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week. Boom. Pow, 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 pow.